has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast.
Again, congratulations to everyone involved with Smiley coming to SportsGrid. Smiley Kaufman will be on SportsGrid regularly, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. He'll be doing stuff on SportsGrid Radio and shows across the board. You've seen him in like Golf Channel stuff, everything to do with the PGA. He's all over the place. Very popular guy. Congratulations to everybody involved. Welcome to the family. Your thoughts, again, Carver High, really quick on if they'll ever merge, because I've done stories and I've read stories. I did one today, in fact, saying this is no different than 20 years ago when Martha Burke was fighting for women to be members at Augusta. There was always some controversy around the Masters. This year, it's all the players are saying that they're losing fans. The game of golf is losing fans because of this war between LIV and the PGA.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing to me, Scotty, that, and I've obviously Rory has talked about this week and in the last couple of weeks, but to have some of the LIV guys talk about it this week, Bryson, Mickelson, Brooks, Rahm, all these guys start to talk about it, is kind of funny to me, obviously, because, they're kind of the ones who left for the big bag first, right? I mean, it's kind of interesting that they're like, oh, this is not a good thing. We all got to get back together. This is all that I want. I want to be able to watch all the best golfers every week in the same place. I'm hoping, like the rest of them, that we do eventually get that, and I think we will. I don't think it's going to be as quick as some of these guys want it to be, but I do think, Scotty, it will happen. I think it makes next week and the four majors, when we get them together, a little bit extra juice, because we get to see these guys out there. And last year, remember, the LIV guys were very good in those majors last year, especially the Masters and the PGA.
Look, I think the situation is impossible to see the best players in the world every week when you have two tours. Right. There's a PGA tour, there's a LIV tour. So let's just hypothetically imagine that they're going to have two tours. What I want, because if you're gonna make all that money and you go to LIV, you should get all that money and play for LIV. There shouldn't be, I get both. But what I think there has to be is, as we welcome our radio affiliates, Sirius Channel 159, and of course, Sports Byline USA. Good to have you with us on a Thursday, Coast to Coast. What we need in golf is real simple. Fine, they're two separate entities. Fine, but in the majors, all of the best players in the world should be in the majors. No questions asked. No one should be left out because they're in LIV or they're just in the PGA. Every major, and that includes all four and the players. I think you could add maybe one or two other tournaments where there'd be like 6, 7, 8 tournaments a year where everyone gets to play and you get to see the best golfers in the world. Because I don't see how you can have both. You can't have guys making $300 million playing for LIV and then have the right to go play every week in the PGA too. It makes no sense to me. They should just have two tours, but let's have the 8 best tournaments of the year, 4 slams, and maybe the players and a couple others that are big enough that everyone gets to play. And there's none of this, really simpleton golf fighting. Is there anything more pathetic and ridiculous than watching golfers argue with one another? No one's like, are they not the femmiest bunch of dudes in the world, golfers to begin with? Can we not have golf fights out on the golf course? Is there anything worse than seeing foursomes get in fist fights with other foursomes at the country club? And it happens all the time now because people are drunk on the golf course and can't handle their liquor. It's no different than watching Rory McIlroy argue with DeChambeau for the last 3 years. It's stale.
It's super stale, and that I love the betting aspect of it. Like, I really do. I love betting on the golf every week. If I wasn't doing that, Scotty, you're 100% right. I would be paying no mind to this. It's really just a little too much listening to 100 millionaires fight with 100 millionaires about all this money. I think you have a perfect setup. I think we need to find a way where it's more than just the 4 majors, but it's not every week. once a month between February and July, however you want to do it. You get everybody together in that kind of a merger, and I think it will make some more sense if we do it that way. That's for me. But I like betting on it. I love betting on it. And I'm excited for next week.
You like
one
betting
way or
on
another.
golf more than any sport now. First of all, let me.
Yeah.
No. You don't. I know you. You don't bet on your Bills. That's one thing you don't do.
No.
So what do you bet on every other NFL game, but you won't bet on your own team? So don't tell me that you're more into football betting. And, college football, I think you are into betting.
Well,
you're not into betting the NBA. You're into betting golf. That's your thing.
I love it. I love betting golf, and absolutely, you're right. We've crossed that line with the Bills once or twice. Since we're here, let me just give you all this now, all the golf that I was going to give you. Justin Thomas parts ways with longtime caddy Jim Bones McKay. And honestly, the weird part about that, Scotty, is the Masters are next week. So getting rid of your longtime caddy a week before the biggest tournament of the year, that's a little head-scratching, honestly, to me. But God bless and good luck to JT. I wasn't going to bet on him next week.
I think Bones is about done caddying for guys. He's lost all his gigs.
And I think he also likes, he did TV a couple of weeks ago, Scotty, on NBC. He did some of that on course and in studio. I think he likes that gig. He's been dragging the bag around for a long time. Very good at it, but dragging the bag for a long time. He probably sits there going, man, I can get paid as much or more to just sit here and talk about it and follow these guys around. And he might feel that's a better gig for him. I think that's kind of more where it went, Scotty, as far as him and JT breaking up.
Yeah, I don't know how many, frankly, golf broadcasting gigs there are. I mean, there's only so many.
There's not a lot.
There's so many jobs. There's only a couple networks that carry it. So there's only so many jobs. This isn't, baseball with all the teams and football with all the teams and all the networks and all the, hockey, all the teams, NBA, college sports, all the teams. This is golf. There's only a couple gigs.
That's it. The Valero Texas Open is going on. Round 1 today down at TPC San Antonio. Final chance for a lot of these guys, Scotty, who aren't in the Masters next week to get their ticket to Augusta. Justin Lauer is in the lead at 6 under right now. Max Homa, Dangerous Denny McCarthy are also right there. Tyson Alexander.
Time out.
It's too bad.
You just said it. With that phrase, who? Like, here's what's wrong with golf. Okay, and I know you're the golf expert around here, but let me just say this. Here's what's wrong with golf. It's so bad now that my man is giving you names you've never heard of, and these are the guys going for the last Willy Wonka ticket to the Masters, and not one of them you've ever heard of. They need to get these guys back in bed with all the best golfers in the world somehow, some way, because I don't care about any of these people you're talking about because no one knows who the F they are.
NC State, the Cinderella story continues.
Creates a double team and then gets an assist. 3 assists already. Everything's going through the big man.
Maybe one of the most dominant runs now with double-digit wins and 2 straight NCAA tournaments we have seen in quite some time in the Big Ten.
Zach Edey does throw elbows. Zach Edey does duck in with his shoulder. Zach Edey does initiate a lot of contact.
Bama runs a style that can challenge them and upset them.
Only on SportsGrid.
I mean, is it pretty much cut and dry that NC State is the biggest surprise of the weekend? I mean, I don't think anybody's bracket had the Wolfpack going this far.
I think they're going to find a way to keep this one close. And we all know Purdue's tournament history under Matt Painter. They've had a lot of early exits when they've been good teams, and maybe this is the time they'll exercise their demons. It's kind of like when Virginia lost to that 16-seed UMBC.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
So I'm not sure Alabama is the team to knock them off from this second consecutive national championship chase. But what will be the key for the Crimson Tide if they can even cover a number?
That wing ball screen action, how you defend that is going to be a problem because of Donovan Clingan, it forces you to change so much what you do defensively if he's able to score inside.
Only on SportsGrid.
Talk all you want about how fat he is. No one can guard him. No one can stop him. He's a violent offender. He does whatever he wants in the low block and at the 10. He just does whatever he wants and scores at will, ad nauseum.
They're the Mike Tyson of college basketball. At some point, they're going to throw a haymaker. And when it connects, Ferrall, you're not getting up.
Ferrall coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, Carver High. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall yesterday on Coast to Coast when in the afternoon the Bills traded Stephon Diggs to the Texans for a second rounder in 25. Look, this is really simple to me, and I know you've heard me say this to you before, and no one that's a Bills fan likes hearing it. I thought he was just a royal pain in the ass. I think this guy with his constant temper tantrums on the sideline, screaming and yelling at Josh Allen all the time, not once, not twice, all the time, never satisfied. He got targeted double anyone else on that team over the last few years. It's just simple. Watching them baby this guy, watching McDermott have to whisper sweet nothings in his ear on the sideline to calm him down. I think he's a head case. I thought his numbers dropped dramatically last year. I do not feel at all, frankly, that this is a loss for them. I think it's a gain because he's just a headache. He's a nightmare. He's not worth it. Like, they had him there for all these years, and this window, this giant window that's been wide open with wind blowing through it for them to beat the Chiefs, and they can't do it with him. So now they got to try to do it without him. They had him there for all these games, and even in the biggest game they ever played, the 13-second game, Davis had 4 touchdowns, not him. I'm telling you, he's overrated, and he's just a cancer. He is such a problem on the sideline, in the huddle, in the locker room. It's all about me, I. And he's like a child, the way he behaves. As a professional football player, he acts like he's playing in Pop Warner. He's like a little baby. He whines and cries and bitches like no one I've ever seen, and it's a headache. And I am telling you, I am not surprised at all they traded him. And the next guy that's getting traded that's even worse than him is Draymond Green. They're going to get rid of it. They're sick and tired of dealing with these prima donnas. That guy Diggs is so overrated, it's not even funny. What did he get you in Buffalo besides nothing?
I said this yesterday, Sky, and I agree with you. I think that they got everything they could possibly get out of Stephon Diggs. And honestly, the juice just wasn't worth the squeeze anymore, right? Like, look, the first 3 years he was there, 1,400 yards, 1,500 yards, 10-plus touchdowns. You know, you can kind of put up with the tweets and the antics and a few things when the numbers are that good and you're that productive. And he made Allen a better player. There's no doubt in my mind. He brought Allen to the next level. But they didn't win. And just like everyone else that's been sent out the door there this offseason, it's they are retooling. They're not rebuilding. They're retooling. They're getting out a lot of guys, veterans that have been there during this run, and they're going to get a new group. Now, they also have no wide receivers right now, and you know that too. They got nobody to catch the football. So they have to work on that in the draft in 3 weeks or a trade, however they're going to do it. But they wanted this guy out so bad that they got that dead cap hit of $31 million last year, and they only got a second-round pick. That's how bad they wanted him out, and they had enough of it.
I think they had enough of it. You're right. That sums it up perfectly. And let me say this. Poyer, White, Morse, it goes on and on. I'm not even scratching the surface of what they've done. It's a spring house cleaning in Buffalo. They have gotten rid of really some super talented players. And I got to be honest with you. I agree with you that they have to draft receivers and they have to think quick in their assessment of what they're doing offensively. I do not believe that the Bills recover from this exodus. I don't believe you get rid of half of your team. The best players they got rid of the best players on their team. They got rid of all the best players. I think the Bills are going to rue the day they did it. They got rid of too many great players. I would have never gotten rid of White. Listen, this guy I would have gotten rid of because he's just painful. How many times have I said to you on this show, I used to sit here with Morency on Sundays and go, bro, this guy ain't worth it. He is so painful and all the drama. I need guys that score touchdowns and win games. I don't need some whiny B. You know what I mean? This guy is just painful.
Look, I think they're gonna rue it this year, obviously. And look, I had this huge fight with Joe yesterday. It went on and on. Like I think that this year they're not right now near the class like they were the last 4 years. They are not on the Chiefs, 49ers, Super Bowl level with where they're at after losing all those players.
No way.
I think this year's gonna hurt. I don't think they're gonna go 7-10. I think depending on who they add, Allen could still win them. Allen's a really damn good quarterback. They can still win 10 games with Josh Allen. I think it will help them in 2025 and beyond because next year you get the 31 off, you get Von Miller off, you get all these, and you could really retool around Allen for another push. That's what they're looking at.
Fair enough. Schefter's reporting now that the Texans have wiped out the last 3 years of Diggs' deal, so he can be a free agent after this season in Houston if he doesn't like it. I'll bet my life he won't like it there either. This guy is never happy with anybody. And that kid Stroud is as much of a stud as Allen is. He's a stud. This guy can sling it all up and down the field. I think his numbers dropped off because of him, not because of Josh Allen or the Buffalo Bills. I think he's starting to go down the other side of the mountain, and nobody wants to admit it because they remember the 1,500, the 1,400. Those were his peak best years. He has never sniffed that number or those numbers ever again. And that's all. The writing's on the wall. He had his 2 best years. He'll never do it again. All he does is complain. So after a year, if he doesn't like it there, then good riddance. See you again. I think that's the rest of his career is good riddance because he's that much of a pain in the ass.
No doubt. I agree with you 100%. And that's interesting that they wiped away all that money. So he's going to be able to get out of there, like you said, if he wants to, after one season. Here is quickly Bills general manager Brandon Beane, of course.
Yeah.
Tough day all around yesterday. Here's Beane. Probably not for him. Secretly, these guys were probably working on this for weeks. Here's Beane's message to the fans.
Yeah, I mean, are we better today? Probably not. Yeah, it's a work in progress, and we're going to continue to work on that. I would just hope that people know I'm as competitive as hell, and I ain't giving in, and we're going to work through this, and we're going to continue to look, and I'm confident in the guys we have on the roster, and I'm confident the staff we have upstairs that helps me, that we'll continue to find pieces to add, and that we'll be ready to roll when it comes time in September.
The guy that is going to be shortchanged in all this will be McDermott. He's the one that's going to get screwed because now he's got no talent. They got rid of all their best players, and what they're doing is they don't want to say it. They've gone cheap. They've gotten rid of all the guys they don't want to pay anymore. That's what they've done. And I'm telling you, the only great player they have on the team is Josh Allen, and they had to give him all that money. That's why they did this, because they can't afford anybody else. Secondly, the Dolphins and the Jets are already better than them, and it took 5 minutes.
Yeah, they still have the Bills as the favorites for the AFC East.
Well, they're
after
drunk.
that move yesterday.
Okay, they're drunk
for that.
and they're drinking a lot of whiskey.
On the
guys
big
that
board,
still have them on top are imagining
the Bills did slip a little bit on the big board for the Super Bowl odds. Obviously, the Texans moved up after getting Diggs. Texans really moved up. They went all the way up to 15-1. Bills went down to 14. I think they were 11 or 12, Scotty, before the Diggs
They were
moved
12.
yesterday. So they
There's
were 12.
There's
so
no way, Mike, that they're 14. They're you know what? Here's the reality of it. Here's the reality of it. They shouldn't even be on that list.
I wouldn't have a problem with you saying that, no. And I think that it's hard to do that right now because I need to see what they do 3 weeks from now in the draft. I need to know what the team looks like after that. That's what I need to see.
Soon enough.
NC State, the Cinderella story continues.
Creates a double team and then gets an assist. 3 assists already. Everything's going through the big man.
Maybe one of the most dominant runs now with double-digit wins and 2 straight NCAA tournaments we have seen in quite some time in the Big Ten.
Zach Edey does throw elbows. Zach Edey does duck in with his shoulder. Zach Edey does initiate a lot of contact.
Bama runs a style that can challenge them and upset them.
Only on SportsGrid.
You want a lefty jump hook? He got you. Alley-oop, got you. Old board, got you. Folks, the 7'4" monster did it up and under with the left hand. As much as Zach Edey is a unicorn in the sport of college basketball, you could say the same thing about DJ Burns. Old school.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Talk all you want about how fat he is. No one can guard him. No one can stop him. He's a violent offender. He does whatever he wants in the low block and at the 10. He just does whatever he wants and scores at will, ad nauseum.
They're the Mike Tyson of college basketball. At some point, they're going to throw a haymaker. And when it connects, Ferrall, you're not getting up.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The brighter the lights, the bigger the stakes. Hunt or be hunted. Know your prey. This is a whole new jungle. This is The Lion's Share. Brought to you by BetMGM.
BetMGM's first bet offer, $1,500, is the biggest thing going in the world right now. How do you get it? 4 easy steps. Download the Sportsbook app from BetMGM on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up, deposit at least $10 into your account, place your first wager, receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. If the bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. So let me get this straight for you. You open the account. You download it, open the account, start the account. You bet $1,500 on a game, let's say an NBA game, or how about a Final Four game? You bet $1,500 on it, right? Saturday night. You lose the bet. They're giving you $1,500 in your account right after the wager is settled. You're good to go. So it's like, I mean, you cannot lose here. $1,500. You lose a bet, they're giving you $1,500 back, and you're rocking and rolling. You're loving life. Check it out at BetMGM.com. All right, the Lion's Share with Coach Young. I want to start with the Randall situation. It's big news today that he's done for the year. My problem with it is, frankly, they sat for 3 months so that this guy's shoulder would heal, and it never healed. It's no different than pitchers. Garrett Cole's going to sit out 60 days at least. I think more like 90. And then they're going to tell me he needs Tommy John. What is the point of sitting out for 3 months, and then the end result is you're having the surgery on the shoulder anyway, which, as you know, I've had both of mine operated on. Those are 9 months. I don't care who you are. You could be an NBA player. You could be a football player. You could be an everyday Joe. It's 9 months to have the labrum and rotator repaired. I've had it done twice. It is no joke. They should have done this, Coach, from the jump.
They should have, and I guess what the Knicks were trying to do is they were hoping that rest would heal it, because even they said afterwards, even they made it through the season, they was going to require surgery. So now you're at a point, Ferrall, is he even going to be ready for the start of next year? That becomes an interesting thing. And if I'm not mistaken, I think last year or next year is the second to last year of his contract extension, which then means he may be moved. So to a Knicks team that really has not been relevant for a long time, first time they've been relevant in a while, back-to-back years, they lose Randall. We don't know when OG's coming back. That's another injury that no one knows what's going on. The Knicks went from a team that, Ferrall, before the injuries to Randall and OG, were playing the best basketball in the league. I'm not saying it. Go look at their record when that happened. Now they're a team now that in the first round, depending on who they play, they may go home.
I think they were playing the second best basketball in the league. I still think the Celtics were better, and I think they were their only problem in the East was Boston. I told you a million times, you and I do betting above the rim, and you talk with me every single day here. I'm not afraid of Philadelphia and Joel Embiid. I've been hearing about this guy every day of my life, and it's just painful. I'm sick of hearing about it. He never wins anything. And now they're saying he's coming back and they're going to win the East. My ass. That's not happening either. But the team that I was worried about was Boston. So this comes back for me to OG. I want to know if you believe, because nobody knows what it is. It's been kind of, secretive and all this other nonsense. Do you believe that if they get him back, that he'll be good enough and able enough to help them succeed in the postseason? I believe they can still win with him. I don't believe they can win without Randall and Anunoby.
I'll say this, folks, and maybe I am the minority. If you said to me, Coach, you either get OG back or Randall back, who do you prefer to make a run?
OG.
I want OG back. Why, folks? Quarter three, stretch shooter, best defender on the team, can guard 1 through 4, right? So you put him 1 through 4 defensively. He shoots the ball really well in that quarter three. What that allows is driving lane. So if a guy like Brunson has the ability to come off the screen, and you got a guy like OG who can shoot the 3, you have a guy like DiVincenzo who can shoot the 3, a guy like Josh Hart who can punch the gap, and then you bring a guy like Bogdanovich, who's not been good for the Knicks so far, off the bench. You surround Jalen Brunson with threes, and now he's got driving lanes, and Josh Hart has driving lanes to the basket when a guy like Hartenstein or Big Mitch is a lob threat. So if OG comes back, I still think they become the Celtics' biggest problem, but that's the issue. I can't buy into Milwaukee. I mean, folks, did you see what this team did the last 2 nights? I mean, the Wizards and the Grizzlies? Like, are you kidding me? Like, Doc should be fired now. Plus, I think Giannis is going to ask out. Cleveland, I think they're frauds. Orlando, they're good. I think they're too young. Miami, I think they're too old. Indiana, don't play D. Yeah, Philadelphia can make a run, but I can't trust JoJo because he gets hurt every single postseason.
Why would they make a run when they never do?
Well, I would just say the fact that they got a way better coach in Nick Nurse. I mean, you see what Doc Rivers is doing. I mean, Doc Rivers is making Adrian Griffin look like Phil Jackson right now. He's so darn bad. So to me, I really think that when you look at that team, I think Joel Embiid, if he's healthy, with Maxey, with the the experience of having a guy like a Lowry, I think Nick Nurse is a marketably better coach than Doc Rivers because when you get in these 7-game series, Ferrall, it's about adjusting. I think they have a chance. I don't think they're beating the Celtics. I don't know if they beat the Knicks healthy with OG back because you've seen what the Knicks have done to the 76ers this season.
Did they scope his knee and fix it? Because if they didn't, I don't believe for 1 minute that he can play in, let's say, hypothetically, 2 playoff series without having knee problems. If they didn't operate on it, did they operate on it? Did they fix it, the meniscus?
I think they did, but I think here's the thing you have to look at it, folks. Regardless if they did or not, that's a big man. Like, that's a big, big dude. They need to find a way, Philadelphia, to get out of that, get to the 6th spot. And they got to find a way to play as little games as possible because every game, Ferrall, he's on those knees. It's a problem. This knee injury stuff, this is not new. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he had these injuries in college as well. It's always come back to creep up on them. They need to play as little games as possible. That's why you'll see Philadelphia go all in on that 6 seed. And speaking of all in, the Pacers, I don't know what the heck they're doing, losing to the Nets last night. I mean, that's another team that's become all of a sudden fraudulent, Indiana.
All right, let's get to your picks first, and then I have a college question for you if we can get it in. We'll start with that Knicks game tonight at the Garden against the Kings.
Well, guess what I'm doing? I'm taking the Knicks on the money line. Now it's minus 155, folks. Usually I don't stop it until 150, but I'm going to do it just to get that extra half point for the Knicks to get the win. You look at a Knicks team that's not playing great as of late, 0-2-1 against the spread. They've lost 3 straight games. This is a big game for them to try and kind of catch that 3-4 spot or even 2 with Milwaukee. Big game for the Knicks tonight. No, obviously, Huerter, no Monk. Give me the Knicks on the money line tonight at home.
Yeah, I'm worried about that game tonight as well, like the way they played their last few games. Let's go to this second game tonight on TNT. The first one is the Knicks game. The nightcap is Denver and the Clippers at the Crypt.
I'm going to go with the Nuggets minus the points. I just think this Nuggets team is playing as good as anybody. Remember, folks, Kawhi Leonard has already been ruled out for tonight. This team in Denver sits tied right now with Minnesota for first place. They've won 2 straight, winners of 7 out of the last 10. I think they rolled tonight. Give me the Nuggets on the road minus the points.
Freddie Van Vliet in that game with the Rockets at home against the Dubs in H-Town.
Fab Five Freddie, over 10.5 rebounds plus assists. Gone over in 40 out of 68 games so far this year. He has missed 6 straight, folks. But before that, he had hit 11 straight games. This is a big spot for a Houston team that's trying to find their way, creep their way into the play-in tournament. Give me Fab Five Freddie over 10.5 rebounds plus assists.
And in the Philly-Miami game, you got Adebayo going. Will Embiid play tonight?
Embiid right now looks like he is in the lineup, if I'm not mistaken. So I still like Bam to go over his rebounds plus assists over 10 of his last 13 games. 3 straight over Philadelphia, 41 out of 64 games. Bam's going to have to rebound, and he's going to bring Joel Embiid away from the basket. He'll dime people up. Go Bam Bam over rebounds plus assists.
All right, Coach, what is your thoughts on Eric Musselman leaving Arkansas for USC?
I think it's a great move for Musselman. Listen, this is a guy that I've respected a long time as a coach, has done a great job. Before I think he was at Nevada, has won the games everywhere he is. Obviously, he's a coach's son, Bill Musselman's son. I think it's a good spot in a USC team that's going to be going into the Big Ten next year. To me, it is an upgrade of a job than going to Arkansas. Arkansas, he revitalized that program. That fan base loves him. And the NFL leaves. He goes to SMU because he feels like he's going to get more money over there and support. I do like Musselman going over to Arkansas. I'm sorry, going to Arkansas and USC.
What do you think of the prices of the women's Final Four tickets being double the men's?
I'm not shocked. Number one, they don't play. They're playing it at the Quicken Loans Arena, wherever it is in Cleveland. They don't play it at football stadiums or baseball stadiums. But here's the key: Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is the hottest story in basketball right now, men's or women's, and then you got a heavyweight match. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Her versus Paige Beckers. I will say this. I think Paige is the better overall player than Caitlin Clark.
Oh, I have heard it all now. You heard him that Paige Beckers is better than Caitlin Clark. Tomorrow he'll give you his picks for the women's Final Four. Yeah, take your overall. Have a sandwich. Coach, great stuff. We'll see you tomorrow.
The Lion's Share, presented by BetMGM.
That's the first.
Need the second one in a major way.
Okay. All right.
Need the second one here for you. 74-61. The sweat. It's all live bets. There's nothing from.
Oh, we missed it. Get my three.
Hit it.
Come on.
Hit it.
Stop.
Hit it.
Yeah!
Oh,
we got
God.
it. Foul him. Foul him.
Only on SportsGrid.
Is it pretty much cut and dry that NC State is the biggest surprise of the weekend? I don't think anybody's bracket had the Wolfpack going this far.
I think they're going to find a way to keep this one close. And we all know Purdue's tournament history under Matt Painter. They've had a lot of early exits when they've been good teams, and maybe this is the time they'll exercise their demons. It's kind of like when Virginia lost to that 16-seed UMBC.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, Davis Maddock joins us every day on Coast to Coast. You can catch him here and on Fantasy Sports Today with Scoop Mitch on Saturday mornings. We talked earlier, Davis, about the A's moving to Sacramento. And, you know, I went through a litany of reasons why Oakland makes no sense anymore for Major League Baseball. Carver High brought up that they're trying to keep the name and the likeness of the franchise Oakland and the A's and all this other. That's not happening either. But let me say this. I want to get your opinion of their move to Sacramento for 3 years. And my point is this, is that Oakland doesn't deserve the A's anymore. They've been there forever. And slowly but surely over the years, it's come down to like under 3,000 fans at games. The place is barren. It's empty. It's a joke. At some level, you have to just admit in that town that they have stopped giving an F about the A's. They act like they care about the A's when, 2,000 people show up banging a drum in left field. It's not good enough. When you don't draw and no one goes to the games, it's over. And I said earlier, the Raiders and the Dubs left Oakland because it's a hellhole.
I mean, I think ultimately the ownership hates the fans. The fans hate the ownership. It's a cycle that has gone on and on. It's been forever since the A's have had like a good competitive team. The team they are fielding now, I mean, it's beyond a joke. Like, it was a joke last season. It's become worse this year. Their two best players were sent down to the minor leagues for, basically, quote unquote, standing with the protesters against the ownership. Honestly, I mean, could Oakland support a baseball team? Of course they could. Is it going to support this team with this ownership? No chance. No chance under this ownership group would it happen. Now, the Sacramento thing, I mean, it just, to me, this feels like a plot that would get thrown out like in a writer's room of like a bad baseball movie. Like, they're going to go play in a stadium that seats 10,000 people. They're expanding it to seat 14,000 people. There's no family room. There's no bathroom in the bullpens. It's like a minor league stadium, honestly smaller than a lot of minor league stadiums. Like, and how is this the plan? How is there not something already built in Vegas? I mean, if there is anyone out there who is a real diehard A's fan, I feel bad for them. I feel kind of bad for the players. Like, imagine you are Estuary Ruiz and you're like, oh, this is the team that drafted me. I'm so excited. I'm going to be a leadoff hitter. And like, this is the situation that it's to me, you know what it is, Scotty? This is what it feels like to me. It just feels like everything that kind of happens under Major League Baseball, under Manfred, just kind of ends up being a joke. And it stinks for the sport of baseball.
Well, he's sticking around for 5 years, so good luck with getting rid of him. And let me say this. I believe this guy Fisher is loathed by these fans. They hate him. But that's irrelevant to me because he does own the team. He does write the checks. And when he ends up in Las Vegas, he's going to be no different than Mark Davis getting $6 billion to move the Raiders to Las Vegas. This guy Fisher, at the end of the day, knows he's got to be, I think, evil enough to understand what he's going to be worth when that ball club starts playing in Las Vegas. He's going to make a fortune. Right now, he's just biding time, and he could give a rat's ass what anyone thinks of him because he knows at the end of the rainbow, there is a pot of gold.
I mean, 100%. Like, that's sort of the story of a lot of these owners in sports that the fans say, guess what? Stan Kroenke still can't come here to St. Louis. I mean, the guy could not go out for dinner here in St. Louis. They absolutely hate him here. But guess what? He don't care. He does not care. I mean, look, that is what these billionaire owners do. It's what they want. The bottom line is the bottom line. They want to make more money. Is it the right financial decision for him? Absolutely. Is it the right decision for anyone who would have ever cared about the Oakland Athletics? Obviously not. Now, I do want to make one point, though, which is that I have been to the Coliseum, Scotty. I mean, that place
I've been there.
dump. It's a dump, man. That is not a fun place to go see a bit. Well, I mean, look, I had fun, but it is not a nice stadium.
It is. Obviously, it's the worst stadium in the majors, and it's, I think, akin to the dump in Landover, FedEx, that the Commanders play in. Those are the two worst stadiums in all of sports. But when they build this, $2 billion Shangri-La in Las Vegas, where the Tropicana is now standing, we'll see who's laughing then. I mean, this guy is going to make an absolute fortune, and that's all there is to it. Let's move on. My second question to you is, at some level, the Mets are turning into an embarrassment. They lost today in the first game of the doubleheader in extra innings, 6-3. They're playing the second game right now. You have got to be kidding me that this team has opened their season at Citi Field and lost every game they've played.
I mean, I don't even know if it's just about the on-field performance, but just the vibes around the New York Mets are kind of at an all-time low. This owner was supposed to come in, change things around. It's not same old Mets, new medical staff, new training staff, new pitching coach. We are going to sign the biggest money free agents. We're going to bring in Justin Verlander. We're going to bring in Max Scherzer. And then what happens this summer? Oh, Juan Soto. We could get him, right? Juan Soto, we'll give him $1 billion. It's fine. Oh, Shohei Ohtani, we could have given. I mean, I guarantee you think Cohen couldn't have paid more money for Ohtani than the Dodgers did? Of course he could. I'm not saying that Ohtani would have agreed to play for the Mets for any amount of money, but they definitely could have been in that race. They weren't. What's their team now? Sean Manaea, Luis Severino. They're taking a guy who was not good for the Yankees. That's your second starter. Jose Quintana, age 35 season, is going to be taking the mound for you every 3 days. Your best hitter, probably the best Mets player of my adult life. I can't think of anyone else who, I guess maybe Pete Harvey. Pete Harvey was better than Pete Alonso, but you're not going to pay Pete Alonso. I mean, what are we doing? Not just giving Pete Alonso whatever his agent is asking for. I mean, it feels insane.
Well, he hasn't given him any money. And here's what I will suggest, and people aren't going to like it, but the reality is, in my opinion, he's run the Mets no differently than the Wilpons did. The Wilpons spent as much money as Steve Cohen has. Steve Cohen is the most overrated billionaire owner in sports that I have seen in a long time. All we ever heard about when they sold the team to him was he was going to spend more than every single team in baseball. He was going to spend more than anybody, and the Mets were going to win championships.
They were going to change the rules. They changed the rules for Cohen. They changed the salary cap rules because of this guy.
They are worse now than they were when the Wilpons ran them. I mean, at least then they were in World Series. They were in playoffs. They had David Wright. He was good. But the reality is now they're garbage. And they're not getting Juan Soto to save their ass. They're not getting Juan Soto. His job, Cashman has one job to do. It's like the old joke. All you had was one job. You have one job to do. Don't screw this up. He's going to give that guy 10 years and he's going to give him over $500, $600 million. He's not going anywhere. He's not leaving the New York Yankees. You know why? Once you put that uniform on, the Mets don't even exist.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it is. It's all playing out in such a way that a time traveler from 15 years ago could come back and be like, the Wilpons. Yeah, of course the New York Mets are the second best team in New York. Of course no one cares about the lovable loser New York Mets. It is what it is. And it's sad because I kind of I am always down for a new billionaire to come into a sport and spread that money around. Like I don't want to watch a 77-win Mets team.
I mean, it's unbelievable. All right, let's take a look at some of your favorite plays for tonight, Davis, with your BetMGM odds here. Let's start with the Dubs game. They got a big game on the road, right, in Houston. I think they got their hands full tonight, but you still like them.
They do. This is a big one. And look, if the Golden State Warriors have any self-respect left at this stage, I mean, they got to smoke this game out, because if they win this game, they're pretty much are going to settle it. They'll be locked in to that 10th spot there. They've won 4 games in a row. Pretty big change to the starting lineup. Jonathan Kuminga has been out for the last week. Trace Jackson Davis has been starting. So it's kind of like a 2 big lineup with Jackson Davis and Draymond Green. It's actually working. It's kind of helps solidify them on defense. And Kuminga, I mean, Kuminga is a good player. He's having a great season, but I have a feeling that Steve Kerr is going to keep that starting lineup the same. So I am taking the Warriors on the spread tonight.
And then the nightcap game on TNT is that Denver Clippers game in Lipstick City.
It is. Okay, so this is one of the easiest bets that you are going to make in basketball these days, which is the Nuggets against another top team in the Western Conference. I mean, they just show up to these games. They play their playoff rotation. They do Aaron Gordon as the backup center. Jokic plays 38 minutes. They just, the Nuggets are the best team in the NBA when they try. There really is not anyone who can sniff them. So we're pretty heavily on the Denver Nuggets tonight.
There's only one night game in baseball. It's in Kansas City. Your Royals taking on the White Sox. You got a player prop rolling here.
Yeah, I wanted to take my Royals, but let's be honest, I don't want to bet on Seth Lugo any more than you do. So we are going to take my boy Bobby Witt Jr., the 13-year, $215 million man, plus 450 on BetMGM to hit home run. That's the way we're going there tonight.
And then tomorrow in the women's Final Four, you have action on Paige Beckers. I'll have you know, Coach Young said earlier on this show, quote, "She's better than Caitlin Clark overall," end quote. And I spit out my lunch.
I heard him. It was nuts. So she's playing 40 minutes a night in all of these games. She's shooting 7 3-pointers per night. I think we're just going to go real easy here with. And by the way, I think this game probably will play fast between her and Caitlin Clark, trading some buckets. So we're going to take Paige Beckers over 2.5 3-pointers made in that game versus Iowa. I bet that one early this morning.
I like Paige Becker's game. I won't deny. I think she moves without the ball better than any woman in college basketball. She's constantly in motion and cutting and diving and circling and coming around screens. She can shoot. She can pass. But this girl, Caitlin Clark, can shoot and pass like no other. And she shoots better than Paige Beckers. And she passes better than Paige Beckers. I'm not giving Paige Beckers better than Caitlin Clark in anything. In fact, she'll be the number 1 draft pick, obviously, in the WNBA draft. And I want to see when Beckers comes into the league, if she's the top player overall taken. I want to see that because I think she's a great player. I don't think she's better than Caitlin Clark. I think she's really good.
No, Coach is crazy, man. He lost his mind.
Yeah.
No, she's amazing. She's also a little bit undersized. Caitlin Clark still. She's tall enough. Come on, Paige isn't better.
She's a freak, Caitlin Clark. That's what that is. Great stuff today, Davis. Appreciate you.
NC State, the Cinderella story continues.
Creates a double team and then gets an assist. 3 assists already. Everything's going through the big man.
Maybe one of the most dominant runs now with double-digit wins and 2 straight NCAA tournaments we have seen in quite some time in the Big Ten.
Zach Edey does throw elbows. Zach Edey does duck in with his shoulder. Zach Edey does initiate a lot of contact.
Bama runs a style that can challenge them and upset them.
Only on SportsGrid.
I mean, is it pretty much cut and dry that NC State is the biggest surprise of the weekend? I mean, I don't think anybody's bracket had the Wolfpack going this far.
I think they're going to find a way to keep this one close. And we all know Purdue's tournament history under Matt Painter. They've had a lot of early exits when they've been good teams, and maybe this is the time they'll exercise their demons. It's kind of like when Virginia lost to that 16-seed UMBC.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
So I'm not sure Alabama is the team to knock them off from this second consecutive national championship chase.
But what will be the key for the Crimson Tide if they can even cover a number?
That wing ball screen action, how you defend that is going to be a problem because a dominant Klingon, it forces you to change so much what you do defensively if he's able to score inside.
Only on SportsGrid.
Talk all you want about how fat he is. No one can guard him. No one can stop him. He's a violent offender. He does whatever he wants in the low block and at the 10. He just does whatever he wants and scores at will, ad nauseum.
They're the Mike Tyson of college basketball. At some point, they're going to throw a haymaker. And when it connects, Ferrall, you're not getting up.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's time for another exciting edition of Today in Carver High History.
Certainly is. We'll start in 1974 today. Hank Aaron ties Babe Ruth's Major League record by hitting his 714th career home run. 83, Lorenzo Charles puts up a putback dunk off Derek Wittenberg's 30-foot desperation shot. NC State beats Houston for the national championship. Maybe they do it again this weekend. 86, Wayne Gretzky sets an NHL record with a 213th. 213 points in 86 for the great one. 88, Kansas beat Oklahoma to win the title. Danny Manning, the most outstanding player. 89, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar plays his last NBA game. 89, Yankee pitcher Tommy John ties a record by playing in his 26th Major League season. He won his 287th game. What a compiler. 93, Texas Tech beats Ohio State for the women's title. 94, Arkansas beats Duke to give the Razorbacks their first national championship. 94, Darryl Strawberry of the Dodgers begins substance abuse treatment. No good. 2006, Maryland beats Duke in overtime to give the Terrapins their first women's national championship. I believe we have that.
Foley under three. Foley has to force it. No! Maryland's done it! For Brenda Freese, the 84th game she has won at Maryland. It is a game she and her players will never, ever forget.
Very exciting
There you
for
go.
them.
Very much so. 2011, one of the worst games ever. UConn beat Butler 53-41 for the national championship. That was some barn burner. 2016, Villanova beat North Carolina 77-74. 2021, Stanford beat Arizona to win the national championship on the ladies' side. 2022, Kansas overcomes a 16-point first-half deficit 2 years ago today to beat North Carolina for the Jayhawks' fourth national title. We were on the Jayhawks that night, I remember.
It's
that.
great not having them in the Final Four this year, isn't it?